question in my mind that Bond represented an archetype, and the stranger is probably the one that's most correct. You don't really want to know where he came from. You don't want to know who his parents are. You don't want to know what he has for breakfast or any of the personal details. That's what makes him so exciting, and it also makes it easier for you then to project your own ego, your own self into the character temporarily.
What is lovely is to believe in a man who's infallible and you're going to go along with him, and yet he's not Superman, so therefore you go along. And what have you gone along for? Only because you want to see James Bond.
This is the essence of Bond, rescuing situations in unexpected ways. But are these movies any more than just action comics and fantasies? Ian Fleming called them fairy tales for adults.
I know a great restaurant in Karachi.
Fairy tales is quite good, but fairy tales can be dark and difficult and neurotic and violent and all that sort of stuff, which I think the Bond things are. But there is a kind of otherworldly, kind of escapist level to Bond, which I think is fun and which one wouldn't want to give up on.
This sense of fun is nowhere better shown than in Bond's relationship with the gadget master, Q.
Morning, Q. Sorry about the leg. Huh. Skiing?
Hunting. It's tested for 100. Now, 007, do please try and return some... Do please try and return some of this equipment in pristine order. Don't touch that! It's my lunch.
I think that over the time, Q has got fond of Bond, because in License to Kill, you know, he went out to help him when he shouldn't have.
Everything for a man on holiday. Explosive alarm clock, guaranteed never to wake up anybody who uses it. Dentonite toothpaste.
Bond won't return his gadgets. He always smashes things up.
I could do with some plastic.
The gadgets, you know, were so important. You know, the Aston Martin car spurting ink out the back or mud or whatever it was, and armour plating that comes into place, revolving number plates, all that stuff is just fantastic. And the ejector seat, I mean, I think Goldfinger was one of the best Bond films. It had all that stuff.
But for some, the use of gadgets can go too far.
When you get into you know, gadgetry and so forth and so on, I think you're in video game territory for me. There's no reality there at all. I mean, what the hell are we spending all this money going into space for? Doesn't make any sense at all.
I think there was a period where they felt that they had to go into competition with the new genre of adventure action film, which was very, very special effects driven, because they just discovered what they could do with special effects during that period, so everyone was maximising it. And I think they lost the sense of what Bond's really about. And Moonraker, I mean, case in point, ridiculous. What are you doing with Bond on the moon? It's the most ridiculous notion.
They're up-to-date movies. Technology has, in the last half of the century, become a very important element in everyone's life. Everyone's interested in it. There's also been some uncertainty as to where technology leads us, and there's a kind of there's an uncomfortable feeling out there that somehow we might get too clever. So technology is a two-edged sword.
Choose your next witticism carefully, Mr. Bond. It may be your last. The purpose of our two previous encounters is now very clear to me. I do not intend to be distracted by another. Good night, Mr. Bond.
Do you expect me to talk?
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Very often the technology is used in a negative way by the villains, or Bond's own technology fails him. So you come back to the age-old issue of man against machine. And those elements are very, very prominent in the films. Bond proves that the human element, the human spirit, and sometimes raw courage and determination can carry the day.
You destroy every vehicle you get into.
Standard operating procedure. Boys with toys.
But must our hero always get off scot-free? Can nothing ever hurt him?
Bond is a wonderful excuse to put on screen the kind of man that doesn't really exist in the world. And if you've done it successfully, every man wants to be him and every woman wants to make love to him. And if he's constantly second-guessing himself or saying, oh, I can't do this with the girl, then I think the more human he becomes, the less fun it is for people who want to come in and also take a vacation from other kinds of films. They go into Bond knowing, they at least think they know, that this is the kind of character I want to see.
First a boy and then a girl.
It's Blofeld.
The most controversial time Bond departed from expectation. He fell in love, got married, and then got widowed. Even the actors were embarrassed by Bond's new emotional side.
It's all right. It's quite all right, really. She's having a rest.